Sup, you beautiful bastards. Hope you're having a fantastic Tuesday. Welcome back to the Philip DeFranco Show, and let's just jump into it. And some of the first things I want to talk about today are updates around the Vegas shooting story I covered yesterday. First, let's talk about the fundraising for the victims. When I put yesterday's show up, the GoFundMe had not passed $1 million, but it was getting very close. But as of recording this morning, people just flew past the initial goal and have raised $3.4+ million. That's amazing. Also, I gotta give some love to fellow YouTuber Casey Neistat. He started a separate GoFundMe yesterday. As of recording this morning, he's raised over $200,000 for the victims. Also, it warmed my heart to see so many people in so many places lining up to donate blood to be able to help the victims. Also, in the aftermath of this, we saw people angry at President Trump for something he said about it. You had large entertainers like Tana Mojo tweeting, "Donald Trump, our president, just called people dying a fucking miracle, and people still support this man." Which, wow, I have to say, if that is true, Mr. President, let's look at the footage.
Look, we have a tragedy. We're gonna do, and what happened in Las Vegas is in many ways a miracle. The police department has done such an incredible job, and we'll be talking about gun laws as time goes by. But I do have to say, how quickly the police department was able to get in was really very much of a miracle. They've done an amazing job.
Oh, to Tana and everyone else, did you just stop listening to the video once you heard what you wanted to hear? I say this as someone that is not even close to being a Donald Trump fan. I feel like he is our divider in chief. Honestly, he's not what I would like as the representation of this country, but it's very obvious what he was saying here. It was a miracle that in this intense situation, this crazy situation, the police were able to respond so quickly. They were brave, they were as fast as possible. More people would have most likely died had it not been for their action. Could he have worded it better? Obviously. Despite what he says, he doesn't have the best words. But seeing large performers and so many other people perpetuating a lie, all that does is further divide us, and I'm so disappointed I've seen so many people do that. I mean, I've said it before, but if you're gonna hit Donald Trump, don't strip away the context, don't change the context, don't have selective hearing. There's tons of legitimate ways to hit him. I mean, just today, Trump was sitting down with local officials in Puerto Rico. He said this.
Now, I hate to tell you, Puerto Rico, but you've thrown our budget a little out of whack, because we've spent a lot of money on Puerto Rico, and that's fine. We've saved a lot of lives. If you look at every death is a horror, but if you look at a real catastrophe like Katrina.
I was gonna stop right there. He then goes on to start comparing death counts between Katrina and this. I'm just showing this as an example of there's a ton of stuff coming out of his face where you're just like, why? But to make it sound like he said it's a miracle that so many people got killed, that's scummy. But then let's talk about douchebaggery at a completely higher level. And that is a story that has blown up around Haley Geffman Gold. Yesterday, in the wake of the Vegas shooting, Haley posted something on Facebook that just blew up. She wrote, "If they wouldn't do anything when children were murdered, I have no hope that repugs will ever do the right thing. I'm actually not even sympathetic because country music fans often are Republican gun toters." And the general response from the internet was, "You evil bitch. Really? That's your response to the news that 58 plus innocent people were just murdered in cold blood? Over 500 people injured, and your response is they probably own guns, so fuck them." Well, on top of the general outrage, people then looked at her Facebook profile and realized that she worked for CBS. There it's stating that she was a vice president, she was senior counsel, and so people started bombarding CBS with, "This is a person that represents you." And incredibly quickly, CBS fired her. A CBS spokeswoman saying that Geffman Gold, who was with us for approximately 1 year, violated the standards of our company and is no longer an employee of CBS. Her views as expressed on social media are deeply unacceptable to all of us at CBS. Our hearts go out to the victims in Las Vegas and their families. And after all of this, Haley went to Facebook to issue an apology. Writing, "Earlier today, I posted an indefensible post in a Facebook discussion thread concerning the tragic Las Vegas shooting, a statement I sincerely regret. I am deeply sorry for diminishing the significance of every life affected by terrorism last night and for the pain my words have inflicted on the loved ones of the victims. My shameful comments do not reflect the beliefs of my former employer, colleagues, family, and friends, nor do they reflect my actual beliefs. This senseless violence warrants the deepest empathy. I understand and accept all consequences that my words have incurred." And as far as are people going to accept that apology, I mean, that's up to the individual person. Can you say that this is something someone said just in the heat of the moment? Yes, but it's not like something like you're like, "You slut, I'm sorry, we're just in the middle of the fight, so I just blurted something out." This is someone on Facebook taking the time to write out a comment, more than one sentence. And yes, they were most likely in a heated moment, but does that mean they don't really think that to some degree? Well, that's for each individual to decide. Personally, I don't really believe her. But hey, that is my personal takeaway from this story. I'll pass the question off to you. Do you think that she should have been fired? Do you see this as momentarily heated, you say something you don't mean, or a little bit of the true you slipping out? I'd love to know your thoughts here. But from that, I want to share some stuff I love today, and Today in Awesome brought to you by squarespace.com/Phil. Squarespace, of course, a fantastic place to make a beautiful website with their incredibly easy all-in-one one platform. You've got nothing to install, patch, or upgrade ever, and if you ever actually do need help, they have award-winning 24/7 customer service. So if you want to check it out like many from the nation already have, start your free trial over at squarespace.com/Phil. And if you love it, be sure to use coupon code Phil for 10% off your first purchase. And the first bit of awesome is something I actually wanted to share yesterday, and that was if you did not see bits of the Ryan Gosling SNL, you missed out. And I'll link to a bunch of them, but my favorite was the papyrus sketch. I don't want to ruin it, so I'll just link to it down below. Then we got a trailer for Creep 2, which if you've never seen the original Creep, I highly recommend it. I personally loved it. I think it's an underappreciated movie. I'm a big fan of POV films, found footage stuff, and this is one of the good ones. That said, hopefully the sequel lives up to it. Then if you're a fan of VFX awesomeness, Framestore put out a fantastic VFX breakdown of Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Highly recommend it if you just want to appreciate the movie a little bit more, or this is a field you're interested in. Then we got a Red Band trailer for the movie Father Figures. It's the new Owen Wilson, Ed Helms comedy. And if you want to see the full versions of everything I just shared, the secret link of the day, anything at all links as always are in the description down below. And then let's talk about this incredibly controversial story around 18-year-old Anna Chambers. This whole situation starts on September 15th. Reportedly, Brooklyn South narcotics detectives Edward Martins and Richard Hall were conducting an undercover buy and bust operation in Brighton Beach with their supervisor. And according to police sources, at one point in the night, the two detectives for some reason drove off in an unmarked Dodge minivan. And according to Anna Chambers, she was with two friends. Their car gets pulled over around 8 p.m. The people pulling them over were two plainclothes detectives in a black van. The detectives then searched the car and each person for drugs. They reportedly asked her to lift her shirt to make sure she wasn't hiding anything, and she complied. Chambers says one of the friends had some pills on him along with prescription. The two detectives then allegedly tell the other two friends to leave, but they order Chambers out of the vehicle. This because detectives found drugs in a bag near her. Though as far as what drugs they allegedly found, I've seen differing reports. The detectives then put her in handcuffs before putting her into the back of the van. Chambers says the detectives tell her they're going to take her down to the 60th precinct, but instead they actually drive her to a parking lot on Cropsey Avenue. And it was there the two men allegedly forced this 18-year-old girl to perform a sex act on both of them. And then after, she said one of the detectives then raped her, all while she was still in handcuffs, then dropping her off blocks away from the 60th precinct. The girl then reportedly went to the hospital immediately, where doctors found evidence of sexual assault, and they reported it to the police. And following this report, according to police sources, the detectives claimed that the sex was consensual. And in response to this, here's what Anna Chambers' attorney had to say.
There was nothing she could do to defend herself. She's being brutalized twice here. First, they rape her. She's kidnapped, she's raped, and she's thrown onto the street. And then they go ahead and they victimize her again by saying it was consensual.
As of right now, the woman's accusations are being investigated by the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office. The NYPD's Internal Affairs Bureau is also looking into this. The president of the Detectives Union saying, "These are serious allegations and I am very concerned. However, until the investigation is completed, I cannot make an informed comment." Also, sources say a DNA match is still pending and no charges have been filed yet. As far as the two detectives and their supervisor, they have been placed on modified duty as the investigation continues. This usually involves being stripped of their guns and badges and forced on desk duty. And here's what I'll say on this situation. I've looked online and I've seen criticisms of people saying that, you know, look at what she posts on Twitter and Instagram. She posts revealing photos, skimpy photos, and to that I would say, okay. What does that have to do with two police officers engaging in sex with someone they have arrested? From all accounts, it seems like Anna was in their custody when you are the person, or in this instance, the people who have the power to charge someone with a crime, to testify against them, potentially leading to them serving time in prison. You can't claim that any of the sex with that person is consensual. And that's without even going into the allegations that she was handcuffed during all this. It appears that either way this went down, the cops are completely in the wrong here. Either one, these police officers just forced themselves on this woman that they picked up and put in their van. Right, they picked her up, she had drugs on her, they raped her and figured, you know what's she gonna do, report us and then also get in trouble? Or two, under threat of either going to jail or physical attack, she performed sexual acts on the police officers. And you have police officers putting a woman in a situation where it's essentially sex for freedom. To me, that sure as hell seems like rape too. But of course, like with every story I talk about, I wanna pass the question off to you. What is your takeaway from this situation? I'd love to know what you're thinking and why in those comments down below. And then let's talk about the big update around the Catalonia referendum. And you might remember we talked about this last week. We said it was looking like it was about to get worse, and it did. Now, for those that didn't see that video last week, here's the quick recap. Catalonia is a wealthy region in northeastern Spain. It's where Barcelona is, and in general it just feels different from Spain. They have their own unique language, different customs from Spain. For decades, they have been asking to various degrees for independence from Spain. And over the last few months, the new government in Catalonia's regional parliament, the Generalitat, they decided to hold a new referendum. And the question was, do you want Catalonia to be an independent state in the form of a republic? Now, in response to this, Spain's national government, not too happy. They declared the vote unconstitutional and illegal. And in the lead up to the actual vote on October 1st, Spain was very heavy-handed. As we covered last week, Spain sent national police and Guardia Civil to crack down on Catalonia. They confiscated ballot boxes and pro-independence pamphlets. They also began raiding and closing down poll locations. But then came the date of the actual vote this past Sunday. Reportedly, 2.2 million Catalans cast their vote, that being just under 43% of the population, which is actually a really impressive impressive number considering Guardia Civil was out there trying to stop the vote. There are videos popping up throughout the day showing what was happening. They were actively shutting down and destroying poll stations. They also locked up poll workers and voters in polling stations they had shut down. We were seeing voters dragged out of polling booths, and that's without even going into what was happening in the street. We kept seeing instance after instance of Guardia Civil attacking people in the streets. First with batons, then there were reports of rubber bullets being shot. And that became its own controversy because there were reports saying that even shooting rubber bullets is illegal. That's actually not true. It's illegal for Catalan police forces, otherwise known as Mossos, to do that. The National Police and Guardia Civil, they are allowed to do it, but despite it being legal, there was still massive criticism. At the end of the day, it was reported that over 800 Catalans had been injured. Also, speaking of Mossos, the Catalan police force, they are under the control of Madrid. But what we ended up seeing were individual officers not enforcing the ban on this vote. Instead, what we kept seeing were incidents of Mossos confronting national police and protecting their citizens. We also saw Catalonia firefighters forming a human shield around citizens. But then, as we've seen in videos, they too were attacked by national police. But with all of that said, at the end of the voting day, according to a Catalan spokesman, 73% of polling stations were able to remain open, and 90% of the votes were for pro-independence. But of course, like I said, this is based off of a 43% voter turnout. And this has stirred a debate of, is this still what the people want? Many arguing that if you were an anti-independence voter, you were less likely to actually go out and vote because Spain had declared this illegal. But those who were pro-independence for Catalonia are saying, no, the reason we have a low voter turnout is because of the police crackdown. You closed polling stations, you detained people, you attacked people in the street, and we still had a around 43% voter turnout. We then saw the leader of Catalonia say, with this day of hope and suffering, the citizens of Catalonia have won the right to an independent state in the form of a republic. My government in the next few days will send the results of today's vote to the Catalan parliament where the sovereignty of our people lies, so it can act in accordance with the law of the referendum. But you also had Spain's prime minister saying, at this hour I can tell you in the strongest terms what you already know and what we have seen throughout this day. There has not been a referendum on self-determination in Catalonia. Today, all Spaniards have seen that our state rule of law keeps its strength and reality and restricts those who wish to subvert the state of law. So as you may have been able to tell, they're not quite on the same page. And relations have unsurprisingly become more tense. We've seen more and more people coming out who are not pro-independence saying they are disgusted by the actions of Madrid and Guardia Civil. The fact that we saw so much violence in the streets coming from national police. We've seen national police officers getting kicked out of their Catalan hotels. Barcelona's mayor threatened to revoke the hotel's license if they allowed police to stay there. The union president for Guardia Civil has asked for more help from Madrid, saying they need more protection for the troops or they are going to withdraw. They also then issued a statement calling the Catalan government traitors. Today, we also saw Catalonia erupt in protests over the government's use of police to repress the independence vote. We've seen thousands march outside the Guardia Civil headquarters. There, they were chanting, "Spanish police, get out." Additionally, two of the biggest labor unions in Spain also called for strikes in Catalonia, although they labeled them labor movements because actually striking for political reasons is prohibited by Spanish law. And so where we are right now is this tipping point. As I mentioned earlier, Catalan leaders have said that they will act in accordance with their referendum law. And part of that law is that they have 48 hours to declare independence in the case of a yes vote. As of recording this video, they have yet to do that. First, they have to formally give the results to the Generalitat to ratify them. Then after the ratification, the declaration will be made. Now, what we do know is that since Monday night, members of the Catalan government have been meeting behind closed doors discussing the future. So what do they do here? If independence is declared, experts say it would be likely crushed quickly. Spain has made it very clear that under no circumstance will they allow Catalonia to go. And so most likely, if independence is declared, the separatist leaders will be arrested. Also, there's a question of how will Catalonia enforce their claim of independence? Right, we're getting the questions of, are they hoping the international community steps up? Are they planning to back this up with weapons? If they did choose to fight Spain, they don't have a ton of arms. What arms they do have are in the hands of Mossos, which while we did see instances of them standing up to the police, right now they are still paid by the central government. Also, what we'd likely see is Madrid invoking Article 155 of the Constitution. This would allow them to send even more police into Catalonia and also revoke self-rule from Catalans. Like I said, that is where we are as of recording this video. We are most likely very close to something massive happening. And of course, with this being the Philip DeFranco Show, I'd love to know your thoughts on this story, the first one, anything in between. Let me know in those comments down below. And that's where I'm going to end today's show. And remember, if you like this video, you like what I try and do on this channel, hit that like button. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Also, if you missed yesterday's Philip DeFranco Show, you want to catch up, click or tap right there to watch that. Or if you want to see the newest behind the scenes vlog, click or tap right there to watch that. But that said, of course, as always, my name's Philip DeFranco. You've just been filled in. I love yo faces, and I'll see you tomorrow.